As we continue with the best of the story, how God is working in the lives of people here at Lubbock Christian University, I'm joined by Maddie Turner. Maddie comes from Abernathy, Texas, and is a leader on the Lady Shaps basketball team. Maddie, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the first question. Last spring, you were getting ready for the regional basketball tournament. The team was on the court. You got news that everything was coming to a screeching halt because of the coronavirus. How did that make you feel?
Devastating. We were all a little in shock because we didn't think that this corona thing was going to make such a huge impact on everyone in the world and in our season. And so we definitely had mixed emotions of anger, and we were frustrated and confused of why our season was getting canceled, and so we were all just pretty upset.
So it was early this summer that you actually contracted the coronavirus. How did you get that, and how did it make you feel?
Well, we had just gotten back from Frisco. We played the Lone Star Conference tournament. We won that. We'd gotten back, ready to play the regional tournament, and then that got canceled. And about 2 weeks later, I was at my grandma's, and I had stayed with my brother, and I noticed that I couldn't smell or taste. And so just out of precautionary measures, we got tested, and it came back positive. And my doctor had already told us that he was like 99% sure that I wouldn't have the coronavirus when I got tested. And so when he called me a few days later saying that mine actually came back positive, I just kind of sat there for a few moments because I was like, there's no way I could have gotten this. And so I was a little confused, and you get a little scared because of people are dying from this, and so just mixed emotions about that as well. I didn't know the next steps to take or what to do, but my doctor was really helpful with all of that.
So it's in some of these processes and times in our life where we have this calling on our lives, and God may place something on our heart and we're not sure what to do with it. Maybe it's something bigger than ourselves. And you kind of had one of those moments when you were coming through the coronavirus. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. At first, obviously, I was confused why I had it. And so, but through that, God revealed to me that I needed to give back. We're called as Christians to serve and to love others. And so to me, that was kind of revealed to me, and I began looking into the giving back of antibodies process. It wasn't a huge thing, and so we kind of had to do a lot of research about it, and they hadn't began that process really when I first contracted the virus, and so that took a little bit of processing and just trying to figure out what my next steps were. But I think God put that on my heart to give back my antibodies and go through that process to help other people, and I hope that it has.
So I've heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true or not, okay, but I've heard a rumor that you have a fear of needles, going to the doctor. I mean, those things are really unnatural. You don't like that kind of stuff, and yet you continue to go back and give of your antibodies. Can you explain that process? Because I think there's needles involved, right?
Oh yeah, there's needles. And I do not like needles. I don't like going to the doctor. I get really nervous for some reason. I don't know why, but so that process, they prick your finger and they take your blood pressure and do a lot of stuff before, and then the actual process, they put a needle in you, and so I always have to turn and look away and close my eyes. And then it goes through a machine and filters out and separates those antibodies and then puts my blood back in my body. And so it's definitely something that I'm not used to. It's a different feeling, and I've never really given blood or had needles just because I don't like them. But I feel like this is something that I'm called to do, and so I want to do it as much as I can.
So I've seen a picture of you holding the bag of antibodies when it's done, and so they take that out of your body, they separate the antibodies, they put the blood back in, and then they have a bag of those antibodies, and they call that liquid gold because it's gold, right?
Yes, sir.
And Maddie Jo, I just think that's a reflection of your heart. Your heart is gold because this is something, you know, God calls us when we're doing His will. I think it's uncomfortable, and I think we're going down a path of least resistance when we're not in His will. So when we go on those paths that are harder, you're following His will, and so this is just a reflection of your heart of gold by doing what you're doing. Maddie, thanks so much for your time today, but more importantly, thank you for who you are and how you represent our student athletes here at Lubbock Christian, how you represent LCU in His kingdom. You're a wonderful example of how we should live our lives. So thank you for joining us for the best of the story.
Thank you.